Welcome to episode 11 of the Kindness Objective podcast. This video, I want to put a trigger warning out because we are talking about suicide. The video that you're about to see is of Sammy Teusch, who found a little fish behind his house in a pond that had gotten trapped in some net. And he was absolutely heartbroken and wanted to make sure that this little fish didn't die. So with the help of his parents and his siblings, they all rushed out to the aid of this little fish and saved his life. And that is the heart and the soul of both Sammy Teusch and everyone in his family. Unfortunately, Sammy is no longer with us. On May 5th of this year, Sammy tragically ended his own life after being relentlessly bullied both in school and on the bus. And the school did nothing to help him. Nothing. His parents went to the school over and over again, and they absolutely did nothing to help him. During my discussion with his dad, there are things that blew my mind and are going to blow your mind. And I hope that it inspires you to help support the Kindness Objective in our mission to make the world a kinder place for everyone, but most importantly for our children.
What you doing, bub?
I'm trying to get right here.
Are you getting him? Yeah. Be careful, don't poke him.
Stay underwater. Get him underwater.
Guys, let's watch him swim. I'm gonna bite my cookie.
Yeah, well, you're gonna have to get him and then move him through the water to help him breathe. Get the thing cut off first.
It's cut off.
Okay, well then bring it up here. Come on, hurry up.
Kill him.
No, you're not. We're gonna help him.
Here.
Take this.
I don't want him to die.
Yeah, here, hurry up then.
Oh, it's a little
Let
bluegill.
go of this.
No.
Sammy.
It's okay, Sammy.
Gosh, I'm actually trying to help you. Why are you crying?
I'd go down the other way. I wouldn't go up. It's in his gills.
That's a largemouth cat.
No, it's a bluegill.
No, it ain't.
What is it?
It's bass.
Oh.
Put him back in the water.
There we go.
Daddy, stick him back under.
Here we go. Here we go.
There.
Come on. And when you put him in,
Move him back and forth.
Move him right there. Get him. Hurry up. Hurry up.
Move him back and forth, Bob. Back and forth.
I think he's not alive anymore.
He's alive. Back and forth,
Wait,
Sammy.
don't move him back and forth right there.
Not
Move
the
right
bud.
here with a net.
Over there, Bob. No, down, 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 down.
Why
Down.
would we
Go
put him
towards
back
that
in
way,
the
Bob.
net?
Towards that way.
Come on.
Why
Keep
would we?
going. You got to get it moving through there.
Why would we put him
Not
back
right
in the
there,
net?
Bob.
Oh, I need to. Over here, Sammy.
Oh, I don't know if he's gonna make it. You
He's
gotta
gonna
go
make it.
faster.
Daddy!
Give me.
Sammy,
Hurry
please
up.
stop
Hurry up.
shouting.
Give me.
Yeah!
Keep going, bud.
Joining me now is Sam Teusch, Sammy's dad. Hi, Sam. Thank you so much for coming on and talking about Sammy today.
Yeah, thank you for letting me be here with you.
There are no words to tell you how sorry. Oh, I knew I was going to cry. How sorry I am for what you're going through.
Yeah, it's every second's different, you know. We've been trying to figure out how to reset, and I mean, one thing that Nikki and I have talked about is we got to still give our other 3 children a great life. It's hard to put it all into terms of how we can do that. And, you know, like this past weekend was, you know, Sunday was 5 weeks that Sammy's been gone, and Sammy's oldest brother, Tyler, was here with us, and we had to take him to the train station in Chicago. So when we did that, we decided let's go to Shed Aquarium and just spend the day and get everything off our mind, you know. And it makes it tough because, you know, Sammy's favorite thing was fishing. So it was just one of those days where we had laughter and tears and more laughter and more tears. And, it was a tough day to get through, but it's something that, it would be a disservice to our other children if we live here in depression and they see this constantly. They're going to grow up to be depressed adults. So, we have a service to do. We have a purpose and something that we know has to be done. It's just, a impossible question to answer. How do you do that? So, we've been just trying to get to some sort of normalcy and, know that we have a empty, gaping wound that is, impossible to move. I mean, there's just times where I can't function. So, I give it my all, and I've always been someone to solve problems and fix problems, and that's what I do for a living. And when I'm in a worse place or than them, it's like, how do you do it? How do you move on?
Yeah, I don't think anybody knows the answer to that. It's just one of those things, like you said, there's going to be crippling moments, and there's going to be moments where you're able to smile with your other children, and then in a second you're back to crying again. And it's just, that's a roller coaster of emotions that I can't even imagine going through.
Yeah, and right when we were starting to, Nikki and I, talk more about, how we're going to move forward and everything, is about the time that the police issued their statement. And, it did the job of proving that the school corporation lied. It did tell us that, what we already knew. So, I wasn't concerned with them finding anything because we knew what had been going on. We knew that we had reported this multiple times. We knew that we had been told multiple times, we're taking care of it. We'll make sure that you have a safe, or that Sammy has a safe and healthy learning environment. And because of past things, I got 8 other kids. So we've been through situations like this before, and you go to the school corporation or the principal or whatever, and the problem's been dealt with and done. So I kind of took it for granted that this is what was going on. But then they added a thing that said something about it was finding him in his safest of places or something to that effect, And I took that negatively. Are you saying that he's bullied here? You know what I mean? And I know it's, and I don't know why this is, but it's like part of their duty to defend the school corporation. So while they exposed the lie that Dr. Olin is a liar, when it exposed that, they had to focus on something else. And the one thing that I have learned through this tragedy, I've talked to 5 other families that have been through this exact thing. All 5 of them, great families, went, where everything was going good until their child did this. And then the number one cause of the school corporation is to make the public look at the parents bad. I mean, and in every single case, this is the first thing they do. So I'm not surprised by it. It's sickening. And one thing I'll tell you is that's why this problem persists, because they have no accountability to anything. They're going to do what they want to do. They're going to sit down in a meeting with the sheriff and with the mayor and with everybody else and decide, how are we going to write this to take the blame off of us completely. So their number one thing is, let's blame the family. It's got to be the family. Well, the one thing I'll tell you is, in this household, Sammy was a happy kid. They get along, they fight just like brothers and sisters. And if anybody tries to say that that doesn't happen, they're pure liars. All little kids are me, 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 me. And then the next thing you know, they're best friends and they're outside doing whatever.
Yeah.
So, you know, because in his like actual where he stood up in front of people, I don't interview or whatever, he said, we're not, you know, there's nothing that makes us think it's the mother and father. So in that sentence, he's implying that our kids made him do this. One thing I'll tell you is they're best of friends. They love each other. They also do brother and sister things and bicker back and forth. And that's mine. This is yours, blah, 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 blah. But at the end of every single day, we finish our days in our bed with 4 kids, watching a movie, laughing, hugging. Night sweet dreams is a thing that I do for all the kids. So it's they're missing the big picture. And in the process of doing that and making that statement, they're making this issue worse. Every single time this happens. Why does this keep happening? And then they ask the same question. Oh, well, why does this keep happening? It happens because you don't accept responsibility for your actions. It happens because you decide to take the blame off of this kid that is tormenting this school corporation. Because during when like 4 days into this, we opened up our doors. We were just like held in a moment where we didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And Oliver had come, one of my twins had come to me and said, hey, my friends wanted to come over tonight. And I told him no. And I said, bud, don't do that. Tell your buddies to get over here. You need that, Yeah. And I didn't expect it. But the next thing I know, there was 1,000 people or more that walked through my house.
Wow.
And complete strangers, people that I had no idea who they were. And very quickly into this process, I realized every one of these kids need a shoulder to cry on. Their parents need a shoulder to cry on. They're going through this same thing daily. And the person in question, the main bully at the end, his name came up 25 times with 25 different kids.
What? Are you serious?
I am dead serious. And
wow.
There's no reaction. Their thing behind this is maybe you should have moved him schools.
Oh,
Why
so you're
should I
supposed to
move him
disrupt
schools?
your life.
Yeah, my son's a straight A student. Why would I disrupt his life to pamper a kid that is tormenting your entire school?
I'm getting so mad listening to this.
They empower the bully. Okay, they give them the power to know that Sammy was scared of being in trouble at school. He wasn't scared of the kid. Let's get that straight. He wasn't scared of the kid, even though the kid was 2 years older than him. Okay, the kid had also gotten some girls involved in this, and the girls would kind of surround Sammy, and then Sammy would run into the bathroom, and that's where he'd hide. Okay, well, as soon as the other bully figured this out, he's going in the bathroom too. And that's where he's attacking Sammy, and he's doing other things. And, they know all this because we have talked about it. The unfortunate situation in this is there's always two sides, right? So when somebody hears a person in power, which is Dr. Olin, which is our school board or the school superintendent, Mr. Curtis, who is the principal, they can't be honest and say, because that's what I would have done. I know that Dr. Olin in the beginning spoke out of emotion, I guess. And that's where his initial statement came from, because he never contacted us to say sorry about Sammy. He just made a statement to everybody in the world that said, we had no idea this was going on and they're lying. Sam Teusch is a liar. And that was the moment that I was extremely upset, because it's a lie. It's a 100% lie. But yet people look to people in power for their answers. So if this guy says this to some people, stories said and done. You know what I mean? Mom and dad are terrible people and drove their kid to kill himself. That's the point they're getting across. And it's the point that has happened in every one of these cases. Every single one of these cases. When a kid is bullied and goes and shoots up a school, okay, the parents of the kid that is bullied is held accountable, right?
Yeah.
Which, I mean, and don't get me wrong, because this whole school shooting thing is out of control, but it's pushed along and egged along by them letting this stuff happen.
For
So then you
years
feel
and
like
years.
for years and years and years. The one people I talked to, this happened to them in 2011.
Same district, same schools?
No.
Okay.
No, this was in Texas. So when I talk about other families, you know, I don't think an incident like this has ever happened in Greenfield, Indiana.
Yeah.
But, you know, the people in Texas were the first ones to tell me, watch out. Watch out. The first thing they're going to do is attack you, attack who you are, what you do, how you raise your kids, attack your other children and weaponize them against you. So I am prepared mentally for what they pour out. I wasn't surprised by his statement on Facebook. I was more surprised by anything that they didn't contact us to
Yeah.
tell us that the investigation was complete. We still don't have a death certificate. But he released it to everyone. During Sammy's candlelight vigil, I got up and spoke because there were rumors going around about, you know, this was done with an unsecured firearm. There was another rumor that he died of a drug overdose because mom and dad are drug addicts.
Dear God.
And so I get up there and in front of everyone, you know, a couple hundred people that were there, and I said, listen, I'm gonna dispel two rumors right here. Wasn't drugs, wasn't guns. And the other thing that I'm going to tell you is it's none of your business how this happened. And I told them all that. And I gave them my phone number. I said, this is my phone number. If you want to call me and talk to me about it, call me right now. Call me tomorrow. We'll discuss it. But it's the lies that they throw in that are allowed every single time, because right now, you know, we're under investigation. They want our cell phone records. They want our social media. They want emails. They want all this stuff. Why? But when I say I want your email communications, I want Sammy's school records, which we have never gotten. He didn't even get a report card. They had nothing to send home, school projects, artwork. They destroyed it all.
Why?
Good question.
That
Good
is
question.
so much worse than I even thought the situation was.
And the crazy thing about it is the powers that be allow this to happen.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again, and can't figure out why it's happening. Oh, I'll tell you why it's happening, because as soon as we report bullying, you start bullying us.
100%.
There's no in between. When I was reporting bullying of Sammy, I would just about guarantee 100% they were writing down he's a discipline case.
22
bet
times
you.
we talked to the school.
Oh, I don't know how many. When I first answered that question, I said, I don't know, You know, did I speak to him 10 times? Did I speak to him 20 times or 50 times? You know what I mean? Because once again, I document everything at work, right? So my work is easily traceable. At home, do you document everything that goes on with your kids?
Never, of
Have
course
you
not.
documented every second of their, you know? So then in that case, they know that, wait a minute, they don't have records, right? Besides my phone records, calls back and forth. But in that same sense, there's been times where they've called me from different numbers. There's been times where they've called me from cell phones. Oh, well, I'm at lunch, you know, so we talk about this now. I never thought about it then.
Yeah.
But now I think about it, and it's like, were you just trying to cover this up the whole time? Because when we moved here in November of 22, we moved here, and the kids started going to school. But in this time, 2022, 2023, 2023, and 2024 school years, in this community, there has not been one report of bullying.
That's obviously not true. Like, they're obviously lying.
It's a lie. It's a lie. 100%. Like I said, when my doors were open, I heard stories from parents, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, the kids themselves.
Same kid came up over and over.
A lot of them, the same kid. A lot of them. I'm not going to say every one, because once I started listening, I was like, wait, there needs to be something else done to help this, because this problem is going to continue because the kid's still over there. He's had no accountability at this time, not to mention his one friend that was at Sammy's funeral taking pictures of his body and sending them out.
No.
So they were continuing to bully him after. Yes, that's real.
Hold on a second. I got to rewind. What did you just say?
Yes. Sending texts of him out, laughing.
Holy shit.
No charges. No charges. And see, at first, I didn't want charges for the kids, because we're not going to fix it trying to fix it with the kids. Because, like, this kid's mom don't give a crap. And she sent a letter or a text to my 11-year-old daughter telling her that my son had absolutely nothing to do with Sammy's death. You killed him. You told him to do it.
Hold on a second. The mother
I got him of the main kid.
Text your 11-year-old?
Yes.
I would be livid. And did you file like harassment charges against her?
I sent it. The police have it all. I also have texts from the kid that says, I was bullying Sammy and he killed himself. And the person says back to them, no, this isn't your fault. You can't put it on yourself. And he says, yes, it is my fault. I was doing this. They have all that. No charges.
Okay, so the kid admitted it.
100%. You know what they said? Oh, you can alter.
You're kidding right now.
I'm not.
I know you're not.
I wish I were kidding you.
This is insane, Sam. This is beyond insane.
It's beyond insane. And the fact of the thing is that I have kids. I have 9 kids total, right? So Sammy was 10. Our oldest just turned 30 Saturday. Okay. So we have talked multiple times about how in those years, in 20 solid years, we've had kids in school constantly. Never had a time where we did not have a kid in school for 20 years. And the number one thing is the downfall of the school corporation, the way they do grading, the way that they impact their scores. So people like me move to their community. You know, I'm in a housing addition here that's pretty much all brand new houses. There's still 45 in the back that have not been sold yet. And they want people to move into this community. If their school score is low, what's going to happen? Because the number one reason that Nikki and I moved here, my job's in Indianapolis. So I run hotels, right? I got 9 hotels in Indianapolis. But I didn't want to live in Indianapolis. I still wanted that small town Indiana feel. So we circled all the way around Indianapolis, and reviewed their schools. Unfortunately, we reviewed their schools through their websites. So if you guys are planning on doing this in the future, don't go by their websites. Read people's actual reviews. But that's why we moved here, for the school. And this is what the school did. And I've had teachers call me. I've talked to a teacher that has since stopped talking to me because they were all issued cease and desist letters where they can't talk to lawyers, they can't talk to the media, they can't talk to whoever else, or they'll be fired.
How convenient.
But this lady has a document from Dr. Olin telling the teachers if they report bullying, they will be terminated. In the 2022-2023 school year, there were 2 teachers that tried reporting bullying that were terminated from this school corporation. So if anybody digs enough, they're going to find this.
Oh my God.
So why do you think they want my email communications, but I can't have theirs? Because they're a protected entity. I can't, and I'm not. I'm just an American. I don't have rights, even though my son's gone. At the end of today, he's still not going to be here cuddling with me in my bed.
Can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
If I were a teacher at that school, fire me then. If
and see, that's one thing. Like
this
lady was telling me that, it's career suicide for them. They wouldn't just lose their job here. They would. Exactly. I would be right with you.
That in a heartbeat. Fire me. You know what? I'll sue the hell out of you for wrongful termination, and I'll still be protecting the best interests of these kids. I'm so mad right now. Like, I thought I was going to be crying the whole time we were talking. I'm infuriated. I cannot even believe the things that you're telling me.
That's how it goes for me. Every other second, I'm bawling. I'm mad. I'm trying to do stuff with the kids to keep my mind off of it and smile a little bit, go out and whatever. But
and to the mother of the boy that did this, you're disgusting. You are disgusting. And I hope she sees this. You are disgusting. You text an 11-year-old something like that. You are disgusting, and your son is just like you. And I have no problem.
And that's why the problem persists. And they don't want to do anything about the person. They don't want to do anything about the person doing this. They want to destroy the family and take all credibility away from our family.
I've been following you, and I wanted to do this with you weeks ago, and I knew I wouldn't be able to get through a conversation with you. I have cried so much about your son. I started this because a friend of mine lost her daughter due to the same thing. And she was 15 and she was going through the same thing. And these girls took pictures of her inappropriately at a sleepover and sent it to everyone on Snapchat. And same thing that you're saying, no charges were filed. They should have been charged with child pornography, sending some that out. Nothing was done. The girls still were picking on her and making fun of her even after she was gone. Same kind of thing. And you know what? The parents didn't do anything. Nothing. And you're 100% right. This goes on and on and on. And when they say we don't know why this continues, they know exactly why this continues. They know. They're not brain dead. They know exactly why it continues. And they know that they're the ones that are to blame for it. They don't do anything. You put a cute little, anti-bullying slogan on a t-shirt with a line through it. What are you doing? You're not doing anything. What are we doing? But
because the kid that's bullying has one of those shirts on.
Absolutely. Every single time. So this kid, this boy, no charges filed, which I know people were infuriated reading this. I saw hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people that were just absolutely beside themselves over that. And the mother is not only, I'm so sorry, it's your child caused him to do this. I can't wrap my head around this.
Here's something else you probably don't know. The police statement that was released via Facebook from the Greenfield Police Department, overwhelming love and support, right? We had 2 people on there that were involved through a different person, or neither one of these people I know, but the principal's wife commented and talked about our home life. Okay, well, they come in and investigate my home life all they want. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. We do is family stuff. Come in and look at my home life. I don't care. But after reading it and thinking about it a few times, all the times that I went in there and talked to Mr. Curtis about this.
Principal?
Yes, he says, I can't discuss that because it involves another kid, and we got to respect the confidentiality of the student. Okay, I already knew who the other student was, but what I'm getting to is, why would his wife know anything about my kids?
I was just thinking that.
Why would his
on in your
wife
house?
know one thing if they have to keep confidentiality? My other kids are devastated by this, by the way, because
Of course.
they lost their little brother, their confidant, their pal. And they have people out there that are blaming them for doing brother and sister things, you know,
I
because
can't
it was
even
never,
imagine that coming out of somebody's mouth.
it was never out of line. You know what I mean? There was a bunch
I
of
get
times
it.
where we had to say, hey, stop. But not,
That's
I don't
brother
know. I
sister
mean,
crap.
when you look back on it, it's literally probably 3% of our home life that was actually arguing, and because we were always busy. We always had games, we always had practice, we always were, you know, I got a zoo pass, a place here called Connor Prairie, the Indianapolis Children's Museum. So then we can always make a choice. Where do you want to go today? You know, or do you just want to go to the woods, or do you just want to go fishing? So we always had something going on. There wasn't torment, there wasn't anguish. Sammy wanted to be here. That's why for the last 2 months of school, he didn't want to go. Daddy, can I stay home? Daddy, I'm sick. Daddy, please don't, you know. And Nikki works, I work. What are we supposed to do? You know, if you don't have a fever, I can't keep you at home, bud. And then,
When
you
you
know,
run into
towards the end,
truancy issues on top of it.
yeah, and after he was attacked on the bus and they kicked him off the bus.
Can I ask you about that? Because I read that and I was thinking, like, I must have read this wrong, but obviously I didn't. He was assaulted on the bus. The bullies are still on the bus and he's kicked off.
Yeah, well, the bully was kicked off the bus too.
Okay.
But for like a day or something
Doesn't
like
even do
that.
anything.
But they can't talk to you about the disciplinary actions of the other kid.
Right.
The
Of
thing with
course not.
this assault was, I could show you his glasses. I still got his smashed glasses in there. He had a black eye. You know, he was bawling when he came off the bus. You know, his lens was out of his glasses, and he's holding them in his hand.
God.
Yeah, but so I called the bus garage that day, so to talk to them about video, and then I called the principal, and the principal says, I don't know anything about this yet. You're going to have to let us look into this. Next day I took Sammy to school, and then later that day I get a call from the principal telling me, oh my gosh, this was a vicious attack. The police are going to be involved. You know, this will not happen again. The proper steps are being taken against the person that did this. We're going to separate Sammy and this other person, and all this pampering bull crap.
Yeah.
And then at the end of it, he says, but we're going to have to kick Sammy off the bus for 7 days. Okay,
The
so
bully
now
gets
wait.
1 day off the bus. Sammy gets 7.
And I'm not going to actually say how many days that kid was kicked off the bus because they wouldn't share it with me. But I know it was less. But they can't show you video, right? Because it has other children in it. This is another hunk of crap. Now, check this out. I don't know how closely you pay attention to the news, especially in Indiana, but in South Whitley, Indiana, which is 60 miles north of here, 70 miles north of here, there was a bus driver that was walking through his bus with a belt in his hand. Okay, threatening these kids, I'm going to hit you. The problem wasn't that the bus driver was walking through the bus with a belt, threatening kids. The problem was the kid video recorded it. Do you understand that?
That's insanity.
Okay. This just happened last week. Research it.
What planet
The
am I on?
the mother is now barred from the school corporation because her daughter video recorded this. Nothing's going on with the bus driver. They never mentioned the problem with this bus driver walking through. So this is everywhere. They're allowing this to happen, and then the people that you're supposed to trust are the people that are doing this crap. The same guy that wrote come to a person of authority, come to a teacher, come to a police officer, come to, whoever, if you feel like you're not safe going at home. But if you do, we're going to put you through hell. And we're going to analyze what's going on with you. They're not going to talk about the fact that Sammy went through this for a year and a half. And when the bus thing happened, and he kicked Sammy off the bus, I told him on the phone, and I hope to God he hasn't slept since this happened, because I told him, I said, you're going to make Sammy and every other kid that goes there never report anything, because you just disciplined him for getting his glasses smashed into his face, cut his eye, blackened his eye, and
Wow.
Sammy got in trouble. So how do you fix this issue? And you still have the idiots out there that are like, well, Dr. Olin said, you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it makes me sick.
for getting your butt kicked.
Yes. So who are you going to report it to? And Sammy wasn't going to fight back because he was scared to be in trouble at school. His friends
Right.
defending him. That isn't happening because the friends are afraid to be in trouble also. Why in the heck would anybody, like if you were being assaulted and I was walking down the street, I'd do everything I can to save you. Are they going to put me in jail for punching this guy in his head for assaulting you? You know what I mean?
I do.
It's unbelievably insane. We're Americans and we have a right to protect ourselves. And when the adults aren't protecting you, because they all knew this was going on, every one of them, his teachers, the other teachers, principals, vice
They
principal,
all know.
their wives who aren't supposed to know. So where is this confidentiality? Because it sure as hell didn't matter when they put on their release that Sammy died by the way he died.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't want that, Sammy didn't want that.
Yeah, then
Definitely
where's his
Nikki did not
privacy?
want that. We did because we received our notice when the public did. So there was at least 400 people that seen this before I did. You know
It's
what I mean?
nobody's business.
Is that correct? In any kind of ethical anything, is that a correct thing to do as a human being? No. It's just, I don't know.
The main bully, the one that texted the other kid and said, like, I was bullying him and I'm responsible for this. When he was sending those text messages, was it in a matter of like having remorse, or was it like bragging, or do you not know?
I don't know.
You don't know.
Because the other one at the beginning was the person saying, Sammy did this. This was the day this happened also. And he says, yeah, right. You're sick or something like that. You're this lie. And then the other one come in after they found out that no, this is actually going on, was when he sent the one that, oh my gosh, Sammy killed himself and I was bullying him. And it says it 100%. And when I tell you it was relentless and this kid was bigger than Sammy, the day before we seen him at the soccer game, the day before. And Sammy goes, there he is right there. And when I tell you he's that much bigger than Sammy, you know, and he's just a bigger kid. Sammy was 4th grader. This kid was supposed to be a 6th grader, but I believe he's a 5th grader.
Yeah, that makes sense. Sounds about right.
Yeah. Yeah, par for the course, isn't it? We have to deal with the fact that they're protecting this kid.
I want to know why.
Yeah, me too. They don't want people to know that this is a huge problem here because, like I said, in this neighborhood alone, they still have 40 houses to sell.
It's a huge problem everywhere.
And they make it worse every single time. They have done nothing in this town except empower every single bully that's here. Because now they know we can do whatever.
Let's talk about that. If you really want to make the school look good, then actually hold someone accountable for what the hell just happened with your son. People are going to say, you know what? Bullying is not tolerated at this school. This is what they do. This is what they did. They're going to look at that and they're going to say, you know what? Every school in the country deals with this, but at least I know that this school doesn't tolerate it. But when you're sweeping it under the rug and you have your son's story out there with the tragedy that happened because of it, the more you sweep it under the rug, the more you look like garbage. And the more, if I knew this story, I would never buy a house in your neighborhood and put my child in that school ever.
And why do you think they want to smash it?
But that's just making it worse. Yeah. Because everyone knows what happened. It's not like they can try and sweep this under the rug all they want and try and pretend like this wasn't going on. The public knows the truth.
Yeah.
Everybody knows the truth of what happened here. You can try and say, oh, it was the home life all you want. Anybody who's been following this story knows that your son came home with a black eye and his glasses smashed into his face. Obviously, this is what was going on.
And they also know that the school corporation said this has never happened.
Bull crap.
And then they also know that the police report said, yes, it did. And you knew it.
So now that the police department has said this was happening and you knew it, are there any legal recourses for you to take against the school?
I don't know the answer to that question yet.
Okay. Well, I would imagine there is.
That's a big yet.
And I would say also, if this boy is you have these text messages saying, I was bullying him, I was doing this, and he took his own life. I would say that's enough to criminally charge someone.
Oh, well, they said that stuff can be corrupted and changed.
That's what they said. Have you spoken to a lawyer yet?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because I would imagine that anybody can pull. There's people that do these, forensics on texts and all that kind of stuff. They can prove that was not altered.
Yeah.
They do it all the time.
And it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. If I was Dr. Olin, I would have been standing up at Sammy's vigil saying, we have a problem in this town. I am working right alongside with this man right here to fix it. And we are going to get to the bottom of this problem, and we're not going to have this in our community ever again.
Well, exactly.
And did he do that? No. And you know why? Because he's a coward. He's a coward. If he came to my house now, I would tell him that to his face without problem. Because when they asked, even with my lawyer, what are you trying to do here? I said, I want an apology. I want a public apology that says I lied, I spoke out of turn, I should have done some investigation before I reacted with my emotion. I would accept that because I know that weak people react with emotion. They don't think things through because he's a weak nothing that thinks that he is in the power of this, that everything he says, everybody's going to believe. His political aspirations beyond the school board superintendent, he's a liar. And anybody that would vote for this man or support him or get on the back to push him into whatever position he's trying to get through, this shows a cowering, weak individual. Weak.
I would love to see him resign.
Because he should resign.
He should be resigning.
He has done this to every child in this in this school corporation. Every child, not just at Sammy's school.
Really?
He has empowered them. He's empowering the bully because you know what? He became the biggest bully, didn't he?
Sure did.
He not only empowered them, he became king of the bullies. In one sentence. Oh, you guys bullying? Well, what we'll do is make the people that are being bullied, we'll make them leave the school corporation. And we'll pamper you with your D's and F's. And we'll hold you back until whenever. And then you're way bigger than all the kids. So in their heads, they have all this power anyway. Because they're, a foot taller than the other kid.
Yeah.
Because they're also gutless turds. The same as Dr. Olin. The same. And if he would not have said, I'll tell you one thing too. If he wouldn't have said that, I would not have gotten an attorney. That's why I got an attorney. Because he said that about me and my family. He called us liars to the entire public. He never contacted me to offer condolences. He never said nothing. He issued a statement to the public saying the family's liars.
When I saw that, I was blown away.
It makes me want to puke, and that's literally like one of the things that I think about constantly.
Yeah, that would really drive me nuts too, thinking that somebody put that out there to the public like that. You should take the text message that you got from that kid saying I was bullying him, blur out the phone number and post that on social media. Who's lying now?
Yeah.
Who's lying now? Although I will tell you, I haven't seen anyone on social media that actually believes that crap. The only things I've seen
there's been a few. There's been, out of anything. We've had I'm in contact daily with a guy in Germany that is going to come here when this goes to Congress. I am in contact with another guy from Ecuador, from Italy, from Australia, from England, all over the United States, Canada. I mean, when I tell you the people that are supporting this is worldwide. This is the one guy told me this is my 9/11. He says from now on out, I'll never forget where I was at this point. I'll never forget, because these people that are now grown adults were Sammy.
Yeah.
They are pissed because 25, 30, the one guy graduated in like 1969 or something like that. And all this was happening back then, continuing on to now. And it makes it worse now because you have the phones, you have the internet, which Sammy wasn't a phone kid. He had a phone, but he'd rather be outside playing. He wasn't concerned about sitting there staring at a screen. So like the day he passed, he hadn't had his phone for 4 or 5 days. And it wasn't because we took it away from him. It's because it sits there.
Yeah.
He'd take it with him if he went to a friend's house or whatever, so he could call us. It's like me reporting to school, right? If they document in a certain way, everything I said for 2 years doesn't matter because they write down whatever they want to say.
Exactly.
And I am in confidence that they're writing down what I'm telling them. But see, it became Sammy's a discipline case. He's hiding under desks. He's hiding in closets. He's hiding in the bathroom. He's hiding in gym class.
He's hiding. Hello. He's hiding because he's afraid.
And this is the one thing I told them over and over again. He don't come home and do that stuff. He don't hide. As a matter of fact, he runs to my arms. This chair I'm sitting in right here, I've held Sammy in this chair 25 times, bawling. Because he's not treated that way here. His brothers and sisters argue and fight. At the end of the day, they love each other. This kid is
sibling.
a violent, not going to be a productive adult. You know what I mean? I mean, you can
kind about that.
You can pretty much tell that this is what he's going to grow into. And
his mother is an adult version of him, obviously.
Exactly. And so see, that goes back to the people. That goes back to the people online that are saying, "Why didn't you go confront the parents?"
What the hell was that going to do?
Mom's smoking crack somewhere and doing whatever the hell's going on there. there's not a dad to talk to. You know what I mean? The kid's 12 years old and on his 14th stepdad. You know, I mean, and I don't know about that. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying.
This is,
They're trash. They're trash. And honestly, if they had addressed the bullying when it first started and looked into why this kid was the way he was, that kid could have gotten the help he needed to get into a better house. So that maybe he could grow up to be something.
And
but
see, that's one thing that
rug.
That's one thing that Sammy knew. That's one thing that I talked to Sammy about. You don't know what that little boy goes home to. You got a dad to come home to, hug, and tell all this stuff. I guarantee you that kid's life is holy hell. Every second he goes home, the only thing he can control is the way he's treating you.
And it takes it off of himself.
Yes. And then they empower them to do that.
They need to empower them to be in a better house and in a better situation and get them away from the parents who are raising them to be derelicts. And I'm not saying this in a sense of like, I have all this sympathy for this kid, because I don't, because your son is gone and that's because of him. And I don't have the ability at this moment in time to feel sympathy for him. I just don't, regardless of what he's going through. I just can't feel sympathy at this point in time. However, if they were to have addressed it in the beginning, and look, you know what? You want to investigate somebody's house? Let's go investigate that kid's house.
Yeah. Do you think they're saying that? Nope.
Of course not.
No, because like they said, the investigation's complete. Well, okay, if the investigation's complete, then why all of a sudden do I have to turn over my cell phone records, which they can have them. I don't care.
Right.
You know, I mean, there's nothing to hide on there. The only thing they're going to see on my Facebook is, 10 years of Sammy's life documented on Facebook. Fun, good times, happy times. That's what they're going to find.
And maybe even a message from him saying that he's getting picked on.
Yeah.
The fact that they didn't charge this kid, 25 or however many kids came out and said that this was the kid that was doing the same thing to them. There needs to be some sort of consequence here. Like, this is driving me crazy. He's going to go back to school. He's going to do it to somebody else, and it's going to never end.
He went right back to school after Sammy. So there was like still 2 or 3 weeks left. He went back to school right after then and was tormenting all of them.
He was still doing it.
Yes.
I hate to say it, but that kid needs his ass kicked.
Well, and see, that's what, like back in my day, that's what would have happened.
Same.
But now kids are afraid of being in trouble. And it's just like I told Sammy, if you get in trouble at school for this, you're not going to be in trouble at home.
Amen to that.
Nope. You're not going to be in trouble at home. He didn't want to hurt people.
Yeah.
Main 100% thing.
He didn't want to hurt anybody.
And then when he's here, he's tough. He's strong. He don't want to admit this little bit of a weak part. But you can see how a 10-year-old mind can look and see how, oh my God, there's no way out of this. I report at school, I'm getting in trouble. I tell daddy, he reports at school, I get in trouble. And
also, the other thing to keep in mind about this is that it wasn't just one kid doing it to him. A one-on-one issue, a kid's gonna, you're gonna be like, maybe I can stand up for myself here. When you're being surrounded and cornered in a bathroom and it's you against a group of kids, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna be scared, and I'm 46.
Yeah, there's nowhere
to run,
right? It's not like
just one kid. What are you gonna beat up 5 kids? You're gonna get your ass kicked.
Yeah.
It wasn't just one kid. He had the girls that were cornering him, and then he had other kids cornering him in the bathroom. Look, if it was one kid his own size, I could see like he maybe stand up for himself in that situation. I'm sure he was terrified.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, why else would he be hiding and locking himself in a closet?
That's where my guilt comes in.
No.
Because I constantly think I should have done more through this process. But like I said, I've been through this before, and the school corporation dealt with it. And they dealt with the kid, not with my kid. They dealt with the kid doing this. They
actually did something in the past?
Yes. Yeah. But
I've only seen that one time in my life where the school actually stepped in and did something. Most of the time, they do nothing. Literally nothing.
Well, and they're allowed to. And then all they have to do is destroy a family.
Do you know our Board of Education here, if you want to go and speak to the board at like their meeting, you're not allowed to talk to them about bullying or anything that's not on their agenda.
Yeah. Yes.
Like, are you kidding me right now?
It's top secret information. You know, this is part of why they don't send homework home with the kids.
Yes. They never
Okay.
sent me home.
And I don't know if this is everywhere, but I know in Indiana next year, the kids can't take cell phones to school no more. Is that everywhere?
I'll tell you something. My son doesn't have a phone. He has one of those watches, like a kid's sync up watch.
Yeah.
And he had a medical issue back in November, and it caused him to have a lot of anxiety because he was in the hospital and he was really freaked out by the whole thing. So I got him this watch because I don't trust that the schools are going to help him when he needs it. And so I get this text from him one day, Mom, I'm having a full-blown panic attack and they won't let me go to the nurse. And I'm like, you know, I'm already fuming. So I called the nurse. I had her phone number. She was always very helpful. And she's like, I'm going to call down to the classroom and have him come up. I said, great. She's like, he texts me again 5 minutes later. Nurse Nikki called and they still won't let me go to the nurse. I said, I'm on my way. I'm coming to get you. So I went to the school, and then the principal tells me, or I think it was the principal, it might've been the vice principal, whatever. They're not allowed to have watches in school. I said, let me explain something to you. Until I can trust the fact that you're going to take care of my son in an emergency, he will have his watch on him. It is a medical accommodation at this point, and I don't care what your policies are. He's wearing the damn watch. So I would tell anybody, any parent that's out there watching this, if their school is telling you they can't have their phone, let me tell you what, there's no way that I'm not going to have direct access, or my child's not going to have direct access to me when they need it. And I would literally get my doctor to write a note saying it's a medical accommodation, because then they can't refuse it.
Well,
But
and
every
see,
kid come in with a note like that.
they want the phones to be gone because of the bus driver up there that was recording.
Yep. I was thinking that.
They want it to protect them, because our kids are recording stuff at these schools that are happening that are bad.
Oh, yeah.
They don't need video evidence. It's just like this bus driver isn't going to be held accountable. The kid that recorded it's going to be held accountable.
That is sick.
Yeah.
Sam.
And I don't even know what to do, because like I said, my kids aren't going to school without a phone. They're
No
not.
way. I'm telling you what to do. Go to your doctor and tell them any reason that your doctor can come up with for a medical accommodation that they need that phone to be able to reach you. You know what? Here's the perfect way to get around that. Have them go to the doctor. They are dealing with PTSD after the loss of their brother, because your school did nothing to help my son. And if they need to reach me because they're in the middle of a PTSD panic attack, they're bringing their damn phone to school. I mean,
I've had two kids come to me since this happened with Sammy that got in trouble at school because they were being emotional,
What do you mean?
crying.
They got in trouble?
Yeah. They wanted to call home, would not let them call home, wouldn't let them go to the office, and nothing.
This school needs to be shut down.
I'm telling you. And they're encouraging it. It's
This
getting
is
worse.
the worst I've ever heard. And I've been doing this for a while.
Well,
now,
and that's what, through the years, man, I could tell you some stories about this school or about not just this school corporation, but school corporations and the way that they've.
I mean, it was bad when I was a kid. I dealt with it. I was Sammy. And the last couple of weeks of 5th grade, my mom finally let me just stay home because she couldn't stand it anymore. She didn't, they go to the school, they do nothing. The teachers were abusing me. I had a teacher, she would dump my desk out in the middle of the classroom and tell all the kids, pick up whatever fell out of her desk and throw it in the trash. Miss Kirshner, if you're watching. And my dad literally wrote her a letter, and he was like, are you prepared to apologize to my daughter with the same enthusiasm you used when you humiliated her in front of the class? And it went from like A to like L. It was like a list of all these things. And he gave one to every teacher in the school and every person on the board. And I saw her years later in a deli when I was 18, and she still turned red looking at me after that letter. But it was happening then. I'm 46. It's only gotten worse. It's only gotten worse.
Way worse.
It should be better because of the fact that we do have the ability to record these things and show what's happening. But instead, they're looking at that like, oh, well, you're going to get in trouble for recording it. No, what are you talking about?
And all the cameras we pay for in school, I mean,
You're not
that's our
allowed to see
tax
video,
dollars
though.
that paid for those, but you're not allowed to see it.
Here's the thing with that pisses me off. They could very easily go into that video and blur out the other students'
Every
faces.
face.
It takes
The
2
video they
seconds.
showed on the news about the bus driver. The video they showed on the news about the bus driver walking through with a belt. The person that recorded that went through and blurred all the other faces so you couldn't see the other kids.
It takes
and that
2
was done
seconds.
by a kid.
Exactly. You want to talk about the privacy of the students? Okay, no problem. Blur their faces out. I'll wait.
Yeah.
And I went through this in a daycare.
I got 7 minutes to wait for you to blur out these faces.
Yeah, no problem.
It makes me sick. It makes me sick, and they're fostering it, and they're making it worse. And
if
my
you
God, I
want
lost
to
my
make
son.
it better, fire the bus driver with the belt and go public about, we had a video that a kid recorded on the bus of a bus driver walking through with a belt. We want the public to know that this person was fired immediately and has no bit and will never work in any of our districts again.
During the whole newscast about that was never mentioned. It
That
was
should have
just
been
how
the
horrible
only
it is
thing.
that this kid recorded it. And they're holding the mother accountable. They're holding the mother of the kid recording it accountable.
She should be praised for raising her child in a way that that kid knows how to protect themselves and their friends.
When you're the good guy and they're demonizing you to the public and to everyone else, what place does that give you? You know what I mean? Where does that even give you a place to stand? They're demonizing the people that are doing correct. They're demonizing Sammy because he was not wanting to fight back. You know, they're demonizing this kid for recording their bus driver walking through. They're not doing anything to fix the problem. The problem is not being fixed. The problem isn't going to be fixed as long as these people are doing that and nobody stands up and talks. And this is one of the reasons that I thought in the beginning, you know what? They kind of messed with the wrong person because I'm used to speaking. If they put me in front of 75 million people, I would talk to them just like I'm talking to you right now with no fear. This is a problem that every mother, father, brother, sister, aunt, uncle, grandpa should have no problem saying, yep, this is a huge problem and we're doing something about it because this is our future generations. And it's just like when I got up at Sammy's funeral and spoke. And after that, everybody's like, how do you do that? Well, the one thing they just did is make me stronger. Because now every second I move, Sammy's standing right here beside me and I am not scared. He was scared. I am not. He knows that. And he is beside me supporting this all the whole way. I will fight this until the day I die. If they want to lock me up in prison for telling them that, hey, you're liars, so be it. Yeah. I don't care. I do not care. Bring out anything you want. Talk about my past. Do whatever you want to do. It makes me sick that they cannot fix the problem. This is, and you know, I don't know these other families that I've talked to. California, Texas, Florida, New Jersey, different parts of America. All of them, the same thing. They told me, expect this. They destroy you. Did nothing to the bullies. In any instance, not one held one of them accountable. Not one.
I feel like there's some piece of this puzzle that we're missing, and I don't know what it is, because it is so illogical. Like, even if you want to protect the reputation of the school, fine. That still doesn't make any sense, though, because everybody knows what's going on at the school. It's public. Everybody's talking about it. Whether or not you acknowledge it or admit it doesn't change the fact that it's the truth. Yeah, what are we missing here?
We live in a day and age where everything is 15 to 30 second clips. And in that 15 to 30 second clip, you have all the information you need. I don't need any more. So if I go and say, nothing happened here, the parents are liars, how many thousands of people hear that snippet and they're like, oh yeah, you know, this is the school corporation, we got to trust it, and then flip to the next story.
But nobody trusts that, though, because
they're so many formulated.
Go through it.
You know who are? And the only people that I've noticed that's coming out to support this are all teachers.
Really?
They're all administrators. They're all administrators' wives who aren't allowed to know anything about our kids, because even if you're married to someone, you can't talk about confidential things. And obviously, through that woman's statement, this man shared everything that he wanted to share. That is lies. You know what I mean?
I do. I'm trying to figure out. I went to a baseball camp like a week ago, 2 weeks ago with my kid, and it was at a private school. And I went in and these kids were like, do you want to sit with us? And I'm looking around like, me? Like, I'm a parent. Like, okay. They were the nicest kids. I was like, this is odd because they're usually not like that at this age. So I sat down and I was chatting with these kids and we were talking about bullying. And the public school kids that were at camp were talking about how kids inappropriately touch other kids. They tell the school nothing happens, the bullying, all this stuff. The private school kids, they said that would never happen here because they would be expelled. And I thought about this and I'm like, you know what? It's the money, because public school, unless that kid is sitting in that chair, they're not getting that funding for the day. Whereas in a private school, they don't care. They'll expel you in 5 seconds because you know what? Their parents already paid that tuition for the year and they're getting paid anyway. But, you know, you talk about that. If you got how many kids? How are you going to send them all to a private school? It's not possible. Yeah. It's money. I think I keep going back to this. And the only thing I can come up with is it's money. Because if my kid misses 5 days of school without a doctor's note, I'm getting taken to court for truancy. But I could literally pick him up every day at 12:30 and every day for the year. And he could miss 3 hours of school every day. And that's fine. You know why? Because they got their money for the damn day.
That's right.
So when you talk about
the nail on the head.
It's
so see,
money.
this is one of those reasons that, like me suing this school corporation, what good's that going to do for the rest of America?
Nothing.
Thank you.
Nothing.
So that's why this has to be an impactful change. This is the solid line right here. What happened before this, I don't care. We're moving forward this way, and we're going to rule like this: compassion, love, understanding, and fairness. Because if you're the good guy, and there is nothing fair about being the good guy, you have nowhere to turn.
You really don't.
Know what I mean? You know what I mean by that? It's just like, what are you going to do? I'm the good guy, and I'm in trouble. That's not the way this is supposed to go. That's the world we're living in. That's what they're doing. That's what they're making.
Same thing as I don't know if you have this where you are with the No Child Left Behind, but when they did that No Child Left Behind, again, they're removing all accountability for what do you do? Like, are your grades good? No, that's all right. You're going to the next grade. Oh, you're bullying? Don't worry. We'll make the kid that you're picking on move. It's the same pattern over and over and over again of zero accountability, zero consequences. We're not teaching these kids anything other than they can do whatever the hell they want, and they're still going to get to go and move forward in life.
Yeah, it's like the kid with the 68%, and they're still getting a B.
Yeah, make that make sense.
Does that make sense to you? Oh,
no.
You're halfway average. But here's
because we gave you points.
Because our school needs it.
Yeah.
Our school needs it for the funding. Our school needs you to have grades. Our school needs that for people like me to move into their community and pay into their community, which I do all the time. And if they think I'm leaving this community because of this, they're gravely mistaken.
I hope you don't, because you are a voice for every kid in that school system that is afraid to speak up because, like you said, they're going to get in trouble. They met their biggest match in you. And the fact that these kids are still going through this, and the fact that that kid went back to school after this boy, your beautiful little boy, ended his life because of what he was doing and continued to do it, that kid needs to be in a juvenile delinquent center.
And then the father of the kid that was being bullied went in to turn in this bullying report. Did you see that? He was escorted out by police, escorted out by the police. And then the school came back and said because he was being disruptive. But if you listen to the audio, the lady says can you sit down for a minute so I can get him? And he says, yes, ma'am, I'll sit down. And he literally sits down. It's all on it's all on recorded. So,
I didn't see that.
And they still say that he was being disruptive. But
Okay,
it's
what
all
about
recorded.
the kid that's being disruptive and tormenting the kids all day?
They're not worried about the kid. They're
That's
worried
not
about the person that
disruptive?
comes in. You know,
That's not
the person that
disruptive,
comes
Sam.
in to protect my kid. Just like they say, report to us. We're the ones that care, right?
Yeah,
And then
right.
as soon as you do, if you do that, we're going to have you escorted.
You know what? Any person in your district that has a child that's going through this, I would never report it to the school. You know what I would do? I would go straight and report it to the media.
Yeah.
Instead,
Which is what this
anymore.
guy
We're going to
did.
the local news.
Yeah.
Every
And
single one of them.
It's just like, you know, everybody's been trying to tell me, don't read the rest of that police issued statement. The main story behind that statement is the school said there was no bullying. The police find there's bullying. They're liars. So anything they say beyond this point, they're liars. They have no credibility with nothing. And their initial statement's a lie. What's the rest of it going to be? They're going to do everything they can to protect that lie from here on out.
I'm going to help you do everything I can to make sure that that lie is exposed.
I didn't do enough. You know, I didn't. I thought I was. But looking at it, it's just like, what do? You know, you just kind of take for granted that the people that you're paying to take care of in your school are responsible enough to do this. You know?
Please don't blame yourself, Sam. I mean, you did everything that you knew to do, and you followed up, and you literally did everything you knew to do. What else can you do? That's the thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? And at home, when Sammy came home, you were the one that held him when he was crying. You were the one that was fishing with him and saving a little fish in the water that he didn't want to die because it got a net stuck in its gill. You did everything as a father that you're supposed to do, and you loved him, and you taught him empathy, and you clearly taught him compassion and kindness, and you showed him that every single day in his life. You did everything you could have done. You were failed. Sammy was failed, but you never failed your son. You didn't fail him.
How do they continue to fail you even when he's gone?
That's
even when they know for a fact, 100%, that one of these bullies was at Sammy's funeral recording him.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that? How did you know it was one of the bullies?
So there was a whole bunch of kids there, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
This was actually at the viewing. So during his viewing, I knew, you know, like even Sammy had hundreds of friends. The other kids got hundreds of friends. So there's going to be a lot of kids here. During that time, I seen crying, laughter, crying, hugging, laughter. It's the healing process. This is what they're going through. So if I seen a kid smiling or laughing, it actually helped me out a little bit because I know that they need that. You know, these little teeny minds need that. My best friend Paul actually lives in Florida, and they came up here and stayed with us through this. He is a police officer. He's a military police officer in Florida. And he happened to see this girl come through more than once. And he was keeping an eye. And he got the pastor, the school counselor. Check this out, because the school counselor was there.
Really?
The pastor, the school counselor, and his wife. There was somebody else there, but I don't know who. And they got the girl and escorted her. And, you know, Paul let her know, hey, I'm a police officer. And, you know, which he has no jurisdiction here or anything like that. But we seen you taking pictures of Sammy. They pulled him up. The pictures were on the phone. Messages were sent. I don't know if this is on like Instagram or if he was sent other places. I don't know that yet. I'm sure at some point in time we'll find that out. But he and the pastor and the school counselor stood there while the little girl deleted him off her phone, pulled up her cloud, deleted him off there, and then she was asked to leave. She was there by herself, okay? Had to wait for a ride home because she was there by herself. Yeah, little kid, 11, 12, however old. Paul did that in a way that Nikki and I didn't see it. I didn't even know that that happened until 2 days after his funeral. And then that was the time to have the discussion about this. In that, the school counselor said, well, kids will be kids. They grieve in different ways. We'll investigate this.
No, they won't. No, they won't. That's
So the, you know, the letdown of it all, the realization that not only are they not going to help this situation, they're going to make it worse. They're trying to make it worse. I mean, they are literally putting physical effort into making the situation worse. It blows me away.
I can't
100%
wrap my
it
head
just-
around it.
I can't either. And not only that, I'm not really sleeping anyway, you know,
Yeah,
like
I'm
proper. So this is what's on my head all the time. How do you fight a system that is a system? You know what I mean?
I
This
do.
isn't just Hancock Community Schools. This is Indiana Public Schools, the Department of Education, the U.S. Department of Education, because they're not doing anything about the accountability either. And that's where Sammy's Bullying Act and Prevention comes in. Because my first question to this guy that's writing this, they talked to me about this. Hey, we want to write this bill. How do you feel about this? And I'm like, yes, if it's going to make a change. But how can you take this to the federal government? Because federal government doesn't take care of the state schools. And see, that's where I don't even know, you know, like most people don't understand that. You know, the federal government, the states make the decisions they make over their schools. But if the state schools are, because we got a bullying law here, did they do any of it? No.
The laws mean nothing if they're not being put into place.
That's right. So where do you go with this? You know, that's why after talking to this guy, I'm like, yeah, let's take it straight to the top. I'll go. I mean, if they set me down with Joe Biden right now, I'd say, hey, man, here's the issue.
Yeah.
And this is the nation that you're trying to improve and that you're trying to make things better. This isn't a Democrat thing. It isn't a Republican thing. It isn't black. It isn't white. It isn't Catholic, Protestant, or Muslim. This is all of us together, 100%. So, like, I had a guy call me up, and the first thing that he wanted to tell me was, you know, I'm a Democrat. And I'm like, man, I don't care. What does that have to do with anything? You know, are you here to help me? Yes. Good. We're a team. Let's go. Because I need those people that know what to say, know how to word things, have connections to talk to people, because I don't have a voice. You know, you get somebody on board, the state governor or whatever that's on board, they got a voice. They got a means to put this out to, you know, because it blows me away. Like Sammy'sChange.org has 26,000 signatures, but there's a mural being saved in Los Angeles that has 240,000.
Make it make sense.
So where's the disconnect?
That the letter that teacher said she had gotten, like if they report bullying, that they'd be fired. Do you have that?
I do not.
Dang.
I know. 4 days into this, she was gung-ho and ready to go. I called her back a day later. She didn't answer. I called her back 2 days later. She answered and said she had something going on health-wise and tried to talk to me again. And then she answered and told me that they had cease and desist. Well,
right?
I mean,
like,
isn't
okay,
that
cease
the
and
same
desist.
as...
If I don't, what? I get fired? Good. Fire me then. I don't care. I might be wrong about this, but I always thought that cease and desist is like, in this way, it's like from saying anything disparaging about somebody, but if that is the truth of your personal experience, you can share it. That's what I always understood. So if I got a letter saying if I talk about this or if I report bullying, I'm going to get fired, that's my personal experience, and I'm just sharing my personal experience. I don't think that falls under what you can't talk about, but I might be wrong. I'm not a lawyer, but I would like to know more about that. I'm gonna, if there's any lawyers watching this, please comment on that, because I really would like some clarity on how that works, because I don't think that makes any sense.
It doesn't make sense. It's done all the time.
And I think that it's done all the time and people get away with it all the time, maybe because people on the other end of these things don't truly know what their rights are or what they could be held accountable for. And they're scared. They get scared into just backing out of the situation and not saying anything. Maybe we need people to understand what are their rights in these situations and what can they speak about without being held liable for something. Maybe that's the disconnect.
Yeah, and that's what even me talking. You know, is there any of this that's going to get me in trouble down the road? I don't know, but it's my opinion. Yeah, I don't care. I've lost more than anything. I mean, there are very few things more that you can take away from me. So you want to do whatever. I got thick skin, and one thing God put me on this earth for is to fight. And not with these. I'm not talking about with these. I'm talking about with this.
Yeah. Much more powerful.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Because when you state facts, you cannot stop the truth. The truth will shine through all of this in the end. It will.
Yeah,
and I really don't give a crap if I get a dime about any of this. I don't give a crap about any of this.
No.
They could have in 1 second solved this by saying, I'm sorry. We should have looked into this.
How hard would that have been? How hard would it have been to just say, you know what, we're sorry?
You can see their credibility as a person. You can read 100% who they are by 3 sentences. Oh, this guy's the devil. At least he's standing right next to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because how can anybody look at a family that lost their littlest boy,
oh God,
and say something like that and still sleep at night? It's because they're evil. And this is the people we are entrusting our children to.
You know,
and we have to.
It's hard. It's hard because people have to work. You got kids that you have to feed. And you know, I saw a comment like, why didn't you pull your kid out of school? Let me tell you why. Because I have to go to work, okay? I have a house payment to make. I have kids to feed. It's not like,
and
just
I
like,
definitely don't have private school money.
And yeah, like, how easy is that for most people? It's impossible. It is almost impossible for people that go to work and have kids that are school age, even just to make sure that they're not alone after school because they have work, let alone all freaking day. Okay. So it's not just to take your kid out of school. Don't you think if it was that easy that they would have done that? Like, come on. And when you look at how hard that is, it infuriates me, because if all these kids that are dealing with this same kid that's bullying them in that school, if all of those parents could say, we refuse to send our kids back to school until this kid is removed, now they're losing all that money, they would do something. But you can't just pull your kids out of school. You have to work. People have jobs. They have, you know, it's not that easy. But I would love to see, man, it would be amazing to see like the entire school, all those parents back you all up and say, we're not sending our kids to school until this is dealt with.
Well, there's been a lot of them talk. So, you know, more than just Justin, there's been a lot of parents that's come out and, you know, really, really supported this. And a lot of them have the documentation, you know, where I wasn't keeping documentation. A lot of these people were. And not to mention, I never would have thought in a million years that Sammy would do this.
Of course not.
I would have never dreamed in 10 billion years that he was in a place where this is what would happen. Saturday, the day before this, we had an awesome day. The whole day was great.
You had a cookout, right?
Yeah, and we enjoyed each other and had fun, and it just blows me away how something, you know, that's another thing that is we're such a close family that I don't even know how that would be intertwined in there, or where, because and I don't know, if I could even speak on this, but Nikki's been getting messages about from people that said, "Hey, do you know that these kids were telling him to do this?"
What?
And no, we didn't. That's what day is today? That was from Sunday. That because that's what they just asked her. Did you know that they were telling him to do this, daring him to do it? No. And if that's the case, that was the first we'd heard about it. So I would say that's rumor at this point. How would he know? How would he know how to do anything like that? So I don't know. I mean, it really, I always have a good outlook on humanity, and I've always felt like good will overcome evil, right? In a situation like this, it's hard to believe in that. The more that I talk about Sammy, the more I see how amazing he actually was and how brilliant his mind thought, because he did things that, like I said, I got 8 other kids that went through here. Sammy did different things. He wanted to work on cars with me, wanted to work on woodworking, so it wasn't just like all we did was fish. If I'm building something, he's building it with me. When he there, I got a picture of him when he's like 5, standing next to a Weber grill. Like I said, he's 5 years old. We had bought this Weber grill the day before, and the next morning I get up, he had the box open, wrenches out, and ready to build this thing.
5 years old.
And yes, and that's and you know what? I went ahead and let him build that. Of course, I'm still helping him do things, but everything's in pictures. You don't even need to read. You can just look at the picture, put that part there, do this, do that. And we walk through that step by step. I mean, several things. Right now in his bedroom, I had to change the shower cartridge out in our shower. So I went through his wall into the shower so I could do it without taking the shower surround off. That whole process, he was there. Right now, it's just the mud or the spackling over fixing the hole. And that's because that was his first experience smoothing out the drywall mud. And in the dust in there right now, I can still see his little handprint in there, holding his hand up against as he was doing this. So I don't want to finish it because his little handprint, and it's not just one handprint. It's like moving, and then this is what he was doing. He was taking the trowel and he was smoothing out the wall.
God.
I mean, and it's this stuff that these people at the school don't know about Sammy. It's where are you in life with your own personal well-being if you look at people that have gone through tragedy and tell them how horrible you were? Even though they have not physically said, and the police officer actually said, not mom and dad. They're blaming 13-year-old twins and my 11-year-old daughter who love this kid, who are devastated beyond belief every single day. I am holding my daughter in my bed upstairs before bedtime, bawling.
Oh my God.
Every single day since this has happened. Do you think it was improved by somebody saying, "Oh, this could have been caused by them"?
That's absolutely disgusting.
So you want to leave this? You want to leave this on 3 kids that had absolutely nothing to do with this, besides the fact that they loved Sammy, and you're protecting these kids that had no love and compassion in there at all. So even if they were fighting for right now, and you get over it, and you do, friends do that too, you know,
Yeah.
where they're going to argue and then they're going to be friends again. And they're there to make kids' life hell because their life is hell.
Spot on 100%. 100%.
And so that's why it makes it tough to hold the kids accountable. If a kid goes into a school with a gun and shoots the school up, the parents are held accountable. In this case, in all these cases, not only is the bully not held accountable, the parents aren't, or the school corporation isn't. Even if they got to pay out $1 million or whatever, they're still not held accountable. That's not accountable. Nothing's going to change. Part of accountability is change.
My neighbor across the street, her granddaughter was getting bullied in school. Her dad died when she was little. He just had like a heart attack at like 30 or something like that, and she lost her dad. She was getting bullied about that. Where's your dad in this cemetery? And horrible things. Her mother went to the school and they said, well, what did she say to provoke that?
Yes.
And she said, excuse me? She said there's nothing she could have said that would justify somebody saying that to her, for one. For two, this little girl, she's like the nicest little girl ever. She's such a sweetheart. They took her out and they put her in a different school. That school wasn't much better.
Yeah.
They did nothing. They didn't address it. They didn't talk to the kids and say, look, you can't say things like that. This person is going through something traumatic. You have no idea what they feel. This is an opportunity. This is not, we sweep it under the rug. When something like this happens, this is an opportunity to teach kids empathy and kindness and to teach them what it's like to walk in the shoes of someone else for a day. You're taking something that could have been a great opportunity to teach these kids something, and you're doing nothing with it.
No.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I think this was so much worse than I originally thought about with the schools. Like, I remember them saying like, well, we checked in his file. There was no bullying report filed. Did anybody, and I thought about this, I'm like, did anybody ever hand you that formal bullying report when you reported it and said, I need you to fill this out? Of course not.
Never. They never even mentioned it. I didn't know there was a bullying report until Sammy was gone.
And that's exactly what I knew you were going to say. I'm like, I guarantee you that's because they never gave it to you and said, we need you to fill this out.
I have 25 other families that have reported bullying. None of them have bullying reports. None of them. Did we find bullying? Nope.
Tell me about Sammy's Hope.
That it'll give educational resources to the bullied. It'll have educational resources for their family, referrals to if you need legal advice, if you need mental help. It'll also provide mental help for the bullies themselves, not just the bullied, the bullies' parents, school administration, teachers. And it'll also give people a place to report confidentially or not. So then they will have their record. Here's your paper trail. If you don't want to keep it, report it here, and we'll keep your paper trail for you. So, you know, being as though it's this new, because when the Uvalde group reached out to me and asked me if I were okay with them doing that, and then we discussed, you know, what do you want it? What do you want it to be? And they were asking me that. And so I just laid it out just like I laid it out to you. You know, even though this is 4 sentences, you need to make this 6 pages and let people know exactly how they're going to do this. So as time progresses, this page is only going to get better and stronger. They already had a bullying prevention program that, you know, they added Sammy to, and then, you know, they're making it better. So it'll just give kids that feel like they have no place to go, or parents that feel like they have no place to go, a place they can go, and people that'll be there to respond, to help through this situation. And also, if you need your documents kept, you know, this is a good way to do it.
But here's the thing with that. The school's going to say, well, they might have recorded it over there, but they didn't tell us.
These people make me sick.
Me too.
And then they want to come out and let the public know how concerned they are. They're liars about that too. They're not concerned about you, your family, my family, or anybody else's. They're concerned about making that dollar. Just
That's
like you
right.
said, having that kid sit at that desk. If we boot him out, well, then we're going to lose that payment. If we report the bullying, that's going to go against our school score, and people isn't going to come in here and move into this town. If this school corporation had reported honestly, there is no way we would have moved here.
Oh, I know that's right.
They're in it for money. They don't give it. They will lie straight to your face, just like Mr. Curtis telling me, "Oh, we're taking care of this, Mr. Teusch." For the longest time, it was Sam. Okay, for the longest time, he called me by the first name, Sam. Right? When he calls me, because Mr. Curtis did call me after Sammy this happened. At that point, I was once again Mr. Teusch. Very cold, very nothing. He'd actually called me that time to let me know that the children at the school had made cards, and he said, "I'm going to personally bring those over to your house." And I said, "Okay, that's fine. That's great." Do you know he didn't? He had the school counselor and another guy I'd never seen before that's not even involved in Sammy's school bring him over.
Can't look you in the eye because he knows that he did nothing to help him.
He knows the last conversation I had with him was, "You're going to make my son not come to me, and you're going to make every kid know that if they come and tell you, they're going to be in trouble." That's the last conversation I had with him before the Mr. Teusch conversation, after Sammy was gone. So like I said, I hope that keeps him up at night. I hope it rings through his head every second he's awake. I hope that's all he hears, because I don't care if he tells everybody on earth I'm a liar and I never said that to him. I know I did. And I know it's in there. And I know that if you're a human being with any kind of compassion at all, how would you even make it through the day knowing that? If somebody would have come to me and told me something like that, and then something this tragic happened, oh my God. Oh my God. He did stop at that point coming and telling me stuff. I didn't know he was attacked in the bathroom on Wednesday prior to that until after this.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So he didn't tell you
No,
because he thought he would get in trouble.
I don't know what it, because I had already told him about, you're not going to be in trouble here, bud. I'm not going to be mad at you one bit. And we had a very, very open relationship. We talked about things. We talked about things that mattered. We didn't just talk about, even if he wanted to talk about Roblox, which I know nothing about, I would talk about him with Roblox, or any kind of whatever. We talked constantly.
But you don't know what these people told him. He could have told somebody what happened in the bathroom and they said, "We'll handle it. There's no need to tell your parents. It's just going to make it worse."
Yeah.
You don't know what
or
they told him.
The times when he came home with knots on his head. Okay. I tried taking pictures of those and I couldn't get pictures of him through his hair. But that happened enough times that it's like, dude, you're not falling down. You're not falling down at recess. What is going on? He had a scratch across his back one time like this big. He had scratches on his neck, which I actually do have pictures of those. That he said, once again, he was at recess doing something and whatever. Now, the big scratches on his neck, I knew that kid tried choking him.
Really?
Yes.
Same kid.
To be honest with you, I'm not going to say that it's that same kid.
Okay.
But just because he did not clarify that.
It probably was,
it?
but you don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Was it? Yeah, probably. But
I still can't get it out of my head that this kid's mother texted your child. I cannot stop hearing you saying that in my head over and over and over again.
Then they have these texts. The police do, and no charges filed.
Who do these people know? Right? Like,
yeah,
there
I
was
don't
somebody
know.
that commented on social media and they said when the charges, they said there were going to be no charges. Somebody was like, what is it? The sheriff's son? Like, who are these people? Who do they know? And I have to wonder
like
myself.
I said, they're all governed by the same boss. They have, they sit down with the mayor, who's pretty much the boss over the school superintendent, and the chief of police, and they formulated, how are we going to write this? How are we going to write this so it takes all the light off of the fact that you lied, because we did a simple police report and found out that bullying had been reported. So how do we make that part go away? Oh, let's add something about the family.
That's exactly
And
what
then
they did.
when I talked to the police about it, he said, oh, that's not what we were saying at all. He said, what we were saying is it was finding him in his safest of places, meaning that they were able to contact him through his phone or through social media. We weren't saying anything about you guys. And I'm like, that's a lie. You were obviously doing this to put doubt on this. But out of 30 years with kids, raising 30 years, never had police here, never had any kind of bruises, marks, anything on my kids leaving this house, because my kids have all had a good life and they've all been brought up into, they're successful, grown up. I got one that lives in Milwaukee and works and has a great job. And I got a daughter that's a nurse. My oldest son runs a maintenance department up in Huntington. It's, I have a track record here
Of good parenting.
good production, man. And none of us are perfect parents. You know that as well as I do. We all make mistakes, and there's no book written on this. But out of 9 kids, there's no way in hell that I would think that my 9th one, my youngest one, would ever consider something like this in a billion years, especially Sammy. He was strong, and maybe that was part of his outwardly defense, because like here he wasn't mean, but when he wanted to play this game, the kids followed him, the older kids.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because he demanded this. It was just like, and it's like I said, looking back on all this and look at it, he was pretty much the leader. You know what I mean? And he wasn't mean about it. He was just kind of like the way I do things.
Yeah. He was
You know
strong.
what I mean? Like, and then he's so strong that he can't let the people that see him so strong have a doubt that he is this weak and that he is suffering this much. I mean, there's several things that's went through my head that, literally the Saturday night when Nikki and I went to bed, the last thing we were doing was roasting marshmallows over the hot coals on the grill. Laughing, having fun, man. And yet we ate late that night. I started the grill up at like 10:30 at night. And so I barbecued hot dogs. Actually, me and Sammy barbecued hot dogs. 8 hot dogs, and then it's like, hey, you got a bag of marshmallows, hot coals, you want to roast them? Oh yeah, Sammy made Nikki roasted marshmallows, brought her in the house to her. It's I don't know how that Sunday morning went there.
Saturday night, that kid that got on the phone was telling him, we're going to get you on Monday. Then you didn't know about this, of course, until after.
Well, that's what, I mean, him saying, I'm sick of this, that was all stuff that I didn't know, Xander taking him downstairs to play Roblox to get him away from the situation. Because Nikki and I would have never thought for one thing that it would have anything to do with the phone, because he didn't have his stinking phone.
It wasn't his phone.
No. So, I mean, it's just, that's what I keep telling myself. If that morning when I went down to get pancake mix, if I would have just said, hey, get your clothes on, let's go, you're going to get pancake mix with me. Because it was literally me driving over to Dollar General a minute away, 2 minutes in there getting pancake mix, and then back. And in this time, somewhere, because as soon as we got home, Xander was with me. And as soon as we get home, Nikki calls Xander upstairs. Hey, go get Sammy. It's your grandma's birthday, which it's Nikki's mom's birthday. I want to make a video to send to grandma. And then that's when I heard Xander scream, and so I'm not going to be able to get that out of my head, and their lack of empathy, sensitivity, anything reflecting any kind of remorse from those people. None.
And they still went back to school and did it again to other kids.
Yeah.
What does it take for someone to realize the consequences of their actions? If this isn't a wake-up call,
To
then
me,
there's
it's criminal.
something seriously wrong with that kid, and he needs to be in an inpatient psych treatment or something, because if this doesn't wake you up, I don't know what would. And you're capable of anything then at that point, in my mind.
I agree. Especially if you know you're going to get away with it. And then 10 years from now, 15 years from now, when this kid's running amok or whatever, or in prison, the mom's going to be, oh, well, how did this happen?
He was a good boy. He didn't do anything. He was a good kid. That's what they say.
Yeah. But she don't know because she's whacked out, passed out somewhere. She has no clue.
So is she a drug addict?
According to everything I've heard, I would say that, that's even what I told Nikki, that that text message to me read like a drunk text or a inebriated text that you send at a time you shouldn't. You know what I mean?
I do. How does she even have your child's phone number?
Good question. Good question.
Why are you a grown adult having my child's phone number? Like, that's a little bit weird.
Yeah. Real super weird.
So I know I've taken a lot of your time and I appreciate it. Before we end for today, I would love to hear the story about Sammy with the little fish that in that video, because I really feel like that depicts his character and his heart and his love that he had for all things that were living, people, animals, all of that. Can you tell me about that day?
Yeah, I was up here cooking on the grill, and I hear him, oh, Daddy, oh no, and I go down there and see, I'd had talks with them because I was watching when they built this house. So I know that the retention pond behind our house, even though it's nice looking, it's got construction materials in it. There's the netting that came off the grass when they planted grass and all kinds of stuff. So it could be dangerous, And when I got down there, he had somehow that little fish had gotten into part of that netting from the grass. And he's like, oh, it's going to die. I know it's going to die, and then Nikki being there to record the whole thing. I mean, just one of those moments that perfectly depicts Sammy.
Yeah.
Because it's just like when we first moved to Florida and he was 4. I'm thinking he was 4. He might have been 3. Anyway, we go to the beach and we were right on the Gulf of Mexico in Pensacola. And he's just loving this. And Sammy instantly, he already knew how to swim. So he didn't understand the power of the Gulf and all this other kind of stuff. I had to explain all this to him because he's straight in that water. And he'd come up with a clam or with something like this. Well, then he come up with trash. And he's furious that this is in here. Look at what's in here. Look at, and it was like a Walmart bag or something that had floated in there. And he storms up to the trash can up there. And how hard is this, That moment started a trend. Every time we went to the beach or anywhere from that point, before we left, the very last thing we did was take Walmart bags and pick up every piece of trash that was there. And it was once again, even though I didn't realize it then, it was once again at Sammy's discretion. This is what he wanted, because it's like him coming up with that bag and the look of He's just disgusted. Why would somebody ever do this in a million years? Yeah. See, kid, you're right. You got this, man. And that little fish down there, I wish I would have kept recording for after it like swam away, and him like, oh, we did that. He got to hold it and move the water through his gills, to make sure that, that was a super satisfying and beautiful day that, I remember distinctly, but it's one of those memories that became a video.
Yeah.
And then, me finding that video afterwards, I was like, man, this is so perfect, Sammy. Depict that kid in any kind of light you can. That depicts who Sammy is, who Sammy was, and who Sammy strove to be every single day. Because even at 10 years old, he wanted the world to be a better place, which is part of my drive to do what I'm doing for him. Because I am capable of fighting. You're not going to take me down. And if you do, I'm going to let everybody know in the process what you're really doing here.
And I will do my best to also honor him and make the world a better place through TKO and do what we can.
Thank you for
that
letting
video
me.
depicts who you are too. And anybody that has a question about, well, maybe his home life wasn't good, watch the video again, because you literally were like, I'm trying to help you, buddy. You don't have to cry. Like, I'm helping you. We're going to help him. Don't worry. And you cut the net off and you put him in the water and he swam away, and all the kids, I hear them go, yay. And
yes, and that part right there, that part right there just completely, brings so much joy into my heart that I want to bawl. Because, that's the other three kids. That the people going, yay! That's the other three kids who they want everybody to believe was terrible to Sammy. And was awful.
That's your family. That depicts your family perfectly. And everybody was saying, Sammy, no, bring it over here. Don't put it back in the net. Let's bring it over here. And everybody, your whole family, this little fish was in everybody's hearts, and so big, and everybody's hearts wanting to save this little fish. That's the family that you're tearing apart, and shame on you. That's the family.
Thank you. You said that beautifully.
I am so incredibly sorry. Again, I can't imagine being in your situation, and I can't thank you enough for sharing about Sammy and about what's going on with the schools and just everything that you've shared today. It means the world to me, because with what I'm trying to do here with TKO, like I said, I started this because of a friend's daughter similarly went through something. And the only way to make change is to speak out about the things that are going on and tell people the truth. Because if people live in a bubble and they're like, well, the school said there was nothing, you know what? Nothing's going to change. So
nothing's going to change.
When people come on like you in a very vulnerable and traumatic time, it is more appreciated than you'll ever possibly know.
Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity. Thank you for being understanding. And, we've been trying to get this done for a few weeks now. So it's great talking to you. And we'll definitely communicate probably forever now.
Absolutely. I hope so.
I would love that. The one thing I want you to know is you are not trying. You are doing.
Thank you.
Two different things. Two very, very, very different things.
Thank you. And that's very true.
Thank you. Thank you. We're going to make this world a better place. I promise you.
I promise you too. I promise you that. And I hope that we will always be friends and stay in touch.
Absolutely.
What you doing, bub?
I'm trying to get right here.
Are you getting him? Be careful, don't poke him.
Stay underwater. Get him underwater.
Yeah, well, you're gonna have to get him and then move him through the water to help him breathe. Get the thing cut off first.
It's cut off.
Okay, well then bring it up here. Come on, hurry up. No, you're not. We're gonna help him. Here, take it.
I don't want him to die.
Yeah, here, hurry up then.
Oh, it's a little angel.
Let go of this.
No.
Sammy.
It's okay, Sammy.
Gosh, I'm actually trying to help you. Why are you crying?
I'd go down the other way. I wouldn't go up. It's in his gills.
That's a largemouth cat.
No, it's a bluegill.
No, it ain't.
What is it?
It's bass.
Oh.
Put him back in the water.
Oh, yeah. Just about done. There we go.
Daddy, stick him back under.
Here we go. Here we go.
There.
Come on. And when you put him in, move him back and forth. Move him right there. Get him. Hurry up. Hurry up.
Moving back and forth, Bob. Back and forth.
I think he's not alive anymore.
He's alive. Back and forth,
Wait,
Sammy.
don't move him back and forth right there.
Not
Move
the
right
bud.
here with a net.
Over there, Bob. No, down, down, down,
There's a
down.
net. Why would we
Down.
put
Go
him
towards
back
that
in
way,
the
Bob.
net?
Towards that way.
Come on.
Why would
Keep going. You got to get it moving through there.
Why would we put him
Not
back
right
in the
there,
net?
Bob.
I need to. No, over here, Sammy.
Oh, I don't know if he's gonna make it.
He's
You gotta
gonna
go
make it.
faster.
Daddy!
Give me.
Sammy,
Hurry
please
up.
stop
Hurry up.
shouting.
Give me.
Yeah!
Keep going, bud.